Okay, hey, this is my next guest on age group Podium Junkies. I have Phil Cunningham from Scotland. Um, Phil is joining me today on the show. Let's see, this is I think you're my sixth podcast
All right.
guest.
Okay.
So anyway, Phil, tell me a little bit about yourself, where you're from, how old you are, all the good stuff.
All the good stuff. Well, I stay just outside Edinburgh, in Scotland. I'm 68 years old. Will be 69 in September. Retired. Been retired about 3 years now. So all I've got to do now is train. I don't don't
What
have
did you
don't.
do?
Uh, I worked for 46 years. I worked with the same company, a firm called Scottish Widows, which was originally sort of life assurance and pensions. And latterly I became a medical claims assessor, dealing a lot with sort of complaints and appeals to do with health claims, critical illness claims, income protection claims, and terminal illness claims, things like that. Which was I really well I enjoyed it. It was a very stressful job, but I enjoyed the investigative side of it. Lots of questions to be asked, and you got to go through people's medical records and send off questions to hospital consultants and so on, and you got to troll through people's medical records. It was a very interesting job, but as I say,
Yes.
it could be stressful at times. But I did enjoy it. But that was retired just about 3 years ago. 3 years ago, almost this month actually. Um,
Yes.
so
And where do you
uh,
live now? Where at in Scotland?
as I say, it's a place called Bonnyrigg. It's just outside Edinburgh, which is on the east coast
Oh
of
yeah.
east coast of Scotland.
Okay.
Um, so Edinburgh's not a huge city. It's maybe I don't know, half a million people.
Yep.
Um, but it's a very nice city. Very popular with tourists, especially Americans. lots
Yes.
of lots of Americans come here to see the castle and things like that. But it's a nice place to live. It always comes up fairly high on the chart for popular destination for people touring, coming to Great Britain and touring. So
Yes.
it gets
So,
very busy in the summer. Very busy
yes.
in the summer because we have a big festival here, Edinburgh Festival and Edinburgh Fringe Festival, where you get literally tens of thousands of people visiting in the space of sort of 3 weeks over the sort of August September. Tends and you can't downtown you can't move during the summer. It's so busy,
Yes.
uh, but it's a very nice place to live.
Oh,
Very
great.
nice.
Perfect. So, let's see, we'll dig right into it. How many Hyrox races have you run now, Phil?
How many have I run? I have done 14 solos, one men's doubles, and one relay. Um, I did my first in April 22. Um,
And what was
that
that one?
that was it. That was in London,
Okay.
at the XL, and that was when I was a youngster because I was in the 60 to 64 age group at that time. So that was my first experience of Hyrox, and it was the hardest. I think up to that point, the hardest thing I'd ever done. Um,
Yes.
but it was I found that first one very hard. But it's got the times have got slower, but the events themselves have got easier to cope with. I'm used to it now. But
Yes. So,
but that first one was brutal.
yes. So how many times have you been on the podium?
I think if I remember rightly, I think it's 10,
10 times.
10 times.
Oh,
There's of of the 14 solos that I've done, three of them were world championships, which I didn't podium at. And the only open one that I've not podiumed at was just before Christmas, Poznan in Poland.
yes.
I came fourth, unfortunately, so I didn't get a flag.
Ah, so out of those times, what's been your personal best solo time so far?
One just under 132, 130, 150 something, I think. It was I actually don't have it written. I do
Yeah.
have it written in front of me. I think I did have it written in front of me somewhere, but it was on the I think it was on the introduction. I think it was just under 132,
Okay.
uh, and that was in. Trying to think, that was in 24 in Malaga, in
Okay.
Spain, where
Yes.
I've done three of my four best times have been in Malaga. We've gone there. My wife and I have gone there the last 3 years, and in fact, we're going there again next month, for another wee jaunt. So I'm hoping I can get a good. I'm hoping I can get a good time next month.
Yes.
We'll see.
Are you already qualified for Stockholm this year?
Yes, I am. Qualified. I went to Gdansk, again in Poland.
Yeah.
The beauty of staying in Europe is that you can get to travel to lots of different countries.
Yes.
So
Yes.
Poland is very easily accessible from Scotland, and there are lots of Poles actually stay in Scotland, but getting there is quite easy with the airlines around here. So I was in Gdansk in October,
Okay.
and didn't do a very good time. But I was first on the day, and so that qualified me. So and that's been sort of one of the interesting things with Hyrox over the last few years, is actually it's almost a game in itself. Trying to when you're it's easier to qualify in my age group.
Yeah.
I'm in the 65 to 69. It's easier to qualify, but part of the fun is trying to find destinations where you think there might be a better chance of qualifying. Because
Yes.
if you do the likes of London, you'll get maybe 15 guys turning up in my age group, and there are some fast guys in the 65 to 69. So if your aim is to try and get a qualification for the World Championships, you don't want to be going to London unless you're super fast.
Yes.
And it's the same with some of the big American ones as well. You know, if you go to New York or Las Vegas and things like that, it's very difficult to qualify because there are some very fast guys out
Yeah.
there. So it's part of the fun for me is being selective with my races and going somewhere that I can enjoy.
Yes.
Have a nice. It's the beauty is good. I usually travel away with my wife, so we want to have a nice wee trip to
Yes.
a nice destination and incorporate a race and hopefully can pick up a flag and with a bit of luck pick up a
Yes.
qualification. So it's part of the game. Some of the fast boys are not very happy that they can turn up and finish second or third in a race with a time far faster than me, and obviously don't qualify. And I say, well, if you want to win, you've got to play the game.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
and until the rules change, then that's what I will continue to do. Is because I would like to. I've qualified for 3 world championships so far, and
Yes.
that in itself isn't great. I've been very lucky with my times and so on, but I would like to keep that going. So, in fact, I've qualified for 4 world championships because Stockholm will be my 4th.
Number 4.
So I'm already looking forward to next season to see if I can get a qualification for whatever it's going to be in 27.
Yeah. Keep it going, right?
Yes, to keep it going. It's just a nice wee thing to do.
Yes.
I think when I started out, I didn't expect to qualify for 1.
Yeah.
Never mind 4. So yes, try and keep the run going.
Yes. So let's see. So then you raced Manchester. Then you raced what would have been Manchester, Nice, Chicago, and now
Manchester,
Stockholm.
Nice, Chicago, and now Stockholm. Yes.
Did you go to all 4?
Yes, I did. Yes.
Yes.
And I've got a very understanding wife who's quite happy for me to waste my time doing Hyrox. So
Yes.
she was with me in Manchester and Nice. We didn't both go to Chicago because I think the whole thing was just a bit expensive last year. So I went solo last year and went there on my own. But we're already booked up to go to Stockholm together. So I'm looking forward to that.
Oh, perfect. Well, we'll see you there in Stockholm for sure.
Yeah.
Yes. So, out of all the races you've done, what has been your most memorable race?
My most memorable. Ooh, depends whether it's for the right or the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
um, probably one of my most memorable was probably the Manchester World Championships, where it was an absolute disaster because I got trampled by a herd of wildebeest when because in they sent us old guys out just before the men's doubles,
Mm-hmm.
and when they started, I just got I'm quite small. I'm not short. I'm 5'9", but I only weigh 66 kilos.
Mm-hmm.
So when you've got a herd of wildebeest bashing you left and right going round the track, it knocks the stuffing out of you. So I unfortunately succumbed to that in my Manchester race, and it just completely demoralised me, and I ended up plodding around and then having a horrendous time
Yes.
during the race. But it's just part and parcel of the game. So just pick yourself up, dust yourself down, and hopefully for something better the next time.
Yes.
But I've had, that's the one thing. I've had 3 World Championship races so far, and none of them have been any good.
Yeah.
my experience of the World Championship races has not been good from a solo perspective. Probably my favourite race actually was actually I did men's doubles for the first time in Chicago. Unfortunately, a friend of mine who had qualified, David McLean, unfortunately wasn't able to. He qualified with our friend Kenton Penny last year, but he couldn't make the journey, and he very kindly offered me the opportunity to be a substitute for him, because we're actually almost identical in our times,
Yeah.
solo wise. So he very kindly offered me his place in Chicago, which you could do then. So I stepped in for him and did men's doubles there with Kenton, and loved it. Absolutely loved it.
Was that
I
at
thought,
Worlds last year? Chicago
yes,
Worlds you
yes,
stepped in?
Chicago World, yes, Chicago Worlds, yes. So I thought so Hyrox at last can be enjoyable if you do men's doubles.
Yeah.
Men's solo is not enjoyable.
So was that your
even
first?
even with open weights,
Yeah.
men's solo is not enjoyable. I mean, we came back from Chicago, and of course they announced that they were going to change it so that you had to do pro. And I thought, there's no way I'm going to be able to do pro. I'm just too small to do pro weights. As much as and of course, then you get the old argument about, oh well, Hyrox is too much in favour of runners. It needs to be suitable for the strong guys. So
Yeah.
they all want the pro weights, and I'm thinking, well, that's fair enough. If that's the way they change it, that's the way they change it, and I'll need to give it a bash. But I was so glad when they changed their mind again and brought it back to open weights, because I think people don't really. I think until you get to be old, you don't really appreciate how hard it is. As you get older, you do lose your. I'm for my size, I'm quite strong.
Yeah.
But pro sleds, it's. I mean, I find the open sleds hard enough, especially with the carpet you get now in in Hyrox.
Yeah.
It's hard enough. And I would have given pro a go. And I in fact started to practice 9-kilogram wall balls. As soon as I got back from Chicago, I was out with trying to do the 9-kilogram wall balls. But even that's I ended up with golfer's elbow, because my technique's obviously not very good, but the shock of the weight of a 9-kilogram wall ball I found very jarring, and it gave me a lot of problems with my elbow, which meant that I wasn't able to. I had to basically stop doing wall balls.
Yeah.
Because it just wasn't going away. So
yes.
when they changed it back to open, I was delighted. I know it annoyed a few people. Who were obviously strong guys,
Yes.
who were understandably wanting to test themselves out with the pro weights. But I think you would have seen a huge decline in the ability of people to be even attempt it.
Yeah.
There aren't.
Yeah.
I mean, you just need to look at the the times of a lot of guys in the open weights in my age group, and I mean, about 40% of the guys in my age group are taking over 2 hours for the
Yes.
open weights.
Yes.
I mean, there are a few obviously very good guys, fast runners, and strong guys, but it would, you know, I think it would have been very poor for Hyrox overall to impose that on the older guys, because it is tough, you know,
Yes.
as you get
Yes.
older, and as each year goes by. I mean, I'm, you know, 68 now. I'm having to now compete against these youngsters at 65-year-old
Yeah.
who
Yeah.
and there's a huge difference between being 65 and being 68. And so the youngsters coming, the guys coming in at 60. I mean, you can see some of the times now. The guys,
Yeah.
the times for some of these guys in the 60 to 64 age group now are frightening.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm sure they will be, very good.
Yeah.
I mean, the times are improving all the time, and
All
we'll,
the
we'll
time.
see the world records tumbling
Yeah.
as these guys mature and progress through the age groups. But so at the moment, I mean, I'm obviously slipping down the rankings as I get older. And I think inevitably I'm getting slower.
Yes.
And
Yes.
and there's not a lot you can do about that, apart
Yes.
from maybe train a bit harder.
Yeah, it's truly amazing in all the age groups. The world records going down, every couple of races, there's a new record broken. Now in the 50,
Yeah,
I'm in the 55 to 59. I just turned 55,
right.
and I briefly held the pro doubles record with my partner
All right.
Tim, but then Simon Passmore and his partner Jose came and raced and did like a
Oh yeah.
56. They did a sub 1 hour men's pro doubles.
I know
So
Simon. Simon's great. I mean, he's done so many fast times. He's got an unbelievable record.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah, yep. So anyway, going forward here, what is out of all the venues you've been at, what has been your favorite venue to participate in?
well, I clearly like Malaga because my best times are produced in Malaga. But I did a stadium event last year. I went to Warsaw,
Mm,
which was which was brilliant. I really enjoyed that.
yeah,
Uh, just competing in such a big venue rather than a sort of conference, like a conference hall. The fact it was a big stadium was just fab. It was really, really good.
yes,
Um, I mean, obviously, it could hold a big audience, and I think when you travel to these foreign countries, the crowds are not as big as they are in Britain, but yeah, there was so much space to move around, and but just competing in a big stadium was really great.
yeah.
Um,
We
and
did
I
our
think
first stadium event here in Phoenix, which
in
is,
Phoenix,
yeah,
yes, yes,
I
and
live
that
just in
seemed
a,
that seemed to have been similarly well received, I think, wasn't it?
yeah, yeah, it was very, very good. It was, yeah, very nice. In fact, I would say here in the States, my two favorite venues so far are Chicago, and
Uh
then
huh.
in Phoenix, being in the stadium was just fantastic.
Well, I love the venue for Chicago for the World Championships was brilliant. I mean, it was such a wonderful location
Hmm.
uh, out on the pier there. I mean, yeah, I mean that really was something special.
Yeah.
And it was just the whole atmosphere about the Chicago World Championships was great. I mean,
Hmm.
it really felt as if you were competing somewhere special.
Yes.
Uh, and I had never been to I had never been to Chicago before. And as soon as I walked out, got the airport into town, and as soon as I walked out from the metro, I thought, "Wow, this is a proper city." It was. I thought, "Oh, what a buzz about it!" But as soon as I walked out onto the street, I walked from the metro to my hotel. It was only about a mile, something like that. But I thought, "I love this. This is just this. This is a proper city."
Yeah.
Uh, I mean, Edinburgh's a city, but it's tiny. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not Edinburgh. I think the complete opposite of Chicago, because Edinburgh doesn't. I think it prides itself on not having any skyscrapers.
Yeah.
There's Edinburgh. Everything in Edinburgh is fairly low level, and a lot of old buildings. But I mean, Chicago's just fab. I just love the place. I thought. I mean, I know it's got its seedy side, but
Yeah.
the centre where I was walking around and staying and doing all my touristy things was just brilliant.
Yeah.
I just really enjoyed it.
Yeah,
Really enjoyed it.
I'm originally from the Chicago suburbs, so I grew up
All right.
visiting
Okay.
the city quite frequently, and
Right.
it's a beautiful city, and especially that area where they have, Navy Pier, where they have
Yeah.
Hyrox, is
Uh-huh.
just is beautiful. And then, like I always tell everybody, the hotels are reasonably priced, and the food is
Yes.
fantastic.
Yeah. No, no. And the hotel. I mean, the hotels were great and plenty eating places, and just it was easy to walk around the city. You know, the
Yeah.
city centre area. Very easy to walk around, and it was nice. I enjoyed it. Really enjoyed it.
Yes.
And I
So
think the again the beauty about Chicago and all the other World Championship events and even the other events around Europe is there were so many people I knew had travelled, so it just made the whole experience. I mean, Britain's Scots in particular, but Britons love to travel to do Hyrox. We're big travellers, so scooting to different countries is one of our favourite pastimes. So meeting up. Every time we go to these events, I meet up with loads of people that I know, and I've got friends now that I know from America, Canada, all around Europe that you bump into,
yeah,
and take it for granted that you're meeting up. Having lived thousands of miles apart, and you just bump into each other every so often around Europe and now around the States.
yes, yeah.
Because I've done.
It's
Yeah.
funny when you talk to people, how many people mention the same thing. Like, it gives you a reason to travel, right? It gives you a
Oh,
reason to visit these different cities. And then when you get there and you do a High Rocks event, you feel part of the city and then the community, right? No matter where you race, it's a fantastic community of people.
yes, well, I also do. I've done a few Deca,
Hmm.
and a few of my friends who do Hyrox also do Deca, and I've done a couple of World Championships for Deca in the States. I've been to Ocala and I went to Dallas as well, and again meeting up with people that I know from having raced in Europe and now in America. So when I was at the World Championships in Chicago last year, there was someone shouted to me from the crowd, and here it was one of the American team who I had first met doing Deca.
Yes.
So the two intermingle. It's really good.
Yes. Yes. Okay, so tell me now, have you been into fitness your whole life, and what is training like for you now? So tell me about your fitness background, and
My
then tell me
fitness
about
background.
how you go about training for High Rocks.
My fitness background is that I started running 1982. End of '82. In Britain in the early '80s, there was a marathon boom, and so everyone started to do marathons, and so I got roped in. I wasn't very good at. I played football, not American football, but soccer as
Soccer.
you call it. I played football very badly. Didn't make the subs bench one day, so I decided to go for a run instead, and I got started into running. Trained for my first marathon, did a marathon about 9 months after I started running, ran a, quite a good time, which I was really pleased with, and that started me on the marathon journey. So I did 4 marathons in the space of 3 years. For, for 3 years from when I first started running, and managed to do a PB each time. Um, Achieved what a time I was pleased with, although I felt I could have possibly done better. But I went for a fifth one and got injured, so the fifth one never materialised, and I decided to come down distance and sort of do 10Ks and half marathons and stuff like that, and did a bit of track. So I did one or two 5Ks on the track. Um, my marathon PB, I started off with a 2:43, and then progressed to 2:38, 2:32, and then 2:28 in Glasgow in 1985. And then as I say, I did a bit of track. Um, wasn't hugely fast by comparison to my peers, but I managed a 15:14 5K, and then that was that was 1989. I think I did my PBs on the track were sort of 1989, and then unfortunately I was sort of suffered a bit from stress and depression and so on, and I've that sort of affected my running quite significantly, and so I had quite a bit of time away from competitive running, uh, and sort of took it up again. Well, I never stopped running, but I had occasional races over the years. Tried a wee bit when I was sort of in my mid 50s, and then uh, sort of got back into running seriously, really just before I started doing Hyrox again. I started doing sort of I did a bit of obstacle racing. Um, did a, I think I did one Spartan, but I did a few obstacle races. Went to Norway and Sweden to Gothenburg to do a couple of obstacle races and really enjoyed that. And then knackered. I had a bad fall and did my shoulder in,
Oh,
um, and that sidelined me for a while. And once I got back into the run again, I started as I say, started Hyrox and saw something on Facebook, uh, end of 2021. Um, and this advertising this competition called Hyrox. Sort of mentioned it to some of my training buddies, and I looked at it and I thought, God, 8 times a kilometre, but with these other exercises, I thought, oh, well, could I actually do that? Could I do burpee broad jumps for 80 metres? I don't
hmm.
no idea. So everything's been sort of geared to that over the last sort of 4 or 5 years. I've had a PT. Trying to think now. I started doing heavy weights back about 2013. Got a PT at that time, and I've had a PT ever since. When I first got a PT, I used to go sort of 2 or 3 times a week over a sort of, I think, about an 8 week period. And then after that, I reduced it to twice a week, and then eventually, because it's quite expensive,
Hmm.
to have a PT all the time. But I've had a PT ever since. I reduced it. I've changed PTs as my. I've changed gyms, not because the PTs I had weren't any good. It's just change of circumstances and work. Where I was working and so on. So I've always had since 2013 I've had a PT. I've gone to a PT almost every week, apart from when I'm physically on holiday. And the PT I've got at the moment is I go to a gym called Land Warrior, and my PT Barry Marsh I've been going to now for about 5 years. It started coming up 6 years. It'll be he is sort of runs a gym was set up by a friend of ours. Um, that he set this gym up just at the end of COVID. Back a guy called Scott Allen set up this gym called Land Warrior alongside his shooting business at the end of just at the end of COVID. And Barry's sort of the senior PT there, and I've been going to him every Wednesday morning, 7 o'clock, since the summer of 2000. And that's he does my program. Whenever I've got races coming up, he'll do my program for me. So I've
Yes.
got a daily program that I follow. Sometimes I'll put in one of my own. If I look at it and think, not really feeling up to that, give that a miss, much to his annoyance. But I've followed his program now, and he's got me to where I am. Because
Yes.
when I was first going to him, I had this shoulder injury, and I couldn't. I was doing band work. I couldn't. I could hardly lift a light weight because of
Yes.
the shoulder injury I had. So he had me doing band work. So he rehabbed me back to fitness, and got me back into doing deadlifts and stuff like that, and just gradually built my strength up, and to the point that certainly over the last year, I've probably been physically stronger than I've ever been in my life.
Yes.
I can, I don't do traditional, I don't do straight bar deadlifts now. I use a trap bar.
Yeah.
Um, but we just gradually built up the weights, and I've, I've, I've been able to produce PBs. You know, I'm doing when I first started doing deadlifts. Like back in 2013, 2014. I set one or two PBs there, obviously, but now I got to the stage where 10 years later, I was producing PBs greater than I'd done, 10 years ago.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
and that's just been a gradual progression over the years.
Yes.
He's kept me injury free. I touch wood. I've not had any injuries that have prevented me training. I've had the occasional niggle, tweak my back occasionally, but nothing that's actually ever stopped me training. So, and if I do get any niggles, he's a therapist as well, so he's very good with giving me exercises to rehab me back into full working order again. So
Yes.
I've got him to thank big time for keeping me fit and able.
Yep.
Uh,
So how many?
which is difficult as you get older. It's I think that I've seen a lot of my friends, a lot of my Hyrox friends over the last few months pick up injuries and struggle to get back.
Yeah.
It's a fine line walking, like staying fit as an older athlete is really quite difficult.
Yes.
And if you and injuries take long, it takes longer to recover from hard sessions, and it takes longer to recover from injuries when you get older, and that's it. So it's a very fine line.
Yes.
um,
How many days a week do you train? How many days a week do you train, and how do you do you do any run training? Do you do the bike at all? What kind of time are you spending on the ergs?
If I had my way, I'd be training 10 days a week. But there's unfortunately there's only 7 days in the week. So, but
Yes.
I I'm dreadful when I was a runner. I probably used to overtrain. I used to always try and train every day. I mean, I think going back, I think the longest I ever went without missing a day when I was running in my younger days was about 6 months. I went about 28 weeks, I think, without missing a day. But you inevitably get injured. Um,
Yes.
and but for training for Hyrox, I I do struggle to take days off,
Yeah.
much to my PT's annoyance. But I've been actually really quite good recently. That I have been taking my days off, and I know it's the right thing to do. I really struggle to take a day off. I know it's the right thing to do, and whenever I do take a day off, I feel so much better for it.
Yeah.
But I still feel guilty when I miss a day.
I'm the same way, Phil. I struggle with taking a day off. Like I feel like I'm gonna get behind. I feel like I'm gonna fall
Yeah,
apart. Yeah. And so I
yeah.
feel your pain with I've kind of learned to do like I'll do a 45 to an hour minute to an hour of like stretch, hip mobility and
Mhm,
yoga, and I'll do like this whole little routine, but if I do the whole routine slowly and patiently, it takes me about 45 minutes to an hour, so I'll do that on an off day, and that
mhm.
seems to kind of tide me over with that feeling of wanting to do something.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So,
But getting back to your question, what do I run? I don't. Despite being a runner, I've grown to actually hate running, and I suffer big time from anxiety. I suffer chronic anxiety. It's I've been saddled with it
yes.
for the best part of 35 years. I mean, it's no secret. I'm an open book. I've been on antidepressants for 35 years.
Yes.
I suffer very badly from now, not so much depression, although I have my moments, but I suffer very badly from anxiety. And one of the big problems for me is actually trying to put myself out the door to go a run. I mean, I've seen myself. on some days, get up at 9 o'clock, determined to go for a relatively early morning run, and I can still be sitting there at 5 o'clock, not able to get myself dressed and go out the door to do it, and then it takes my wife to almost effectively shove me out the door. Um, so I almost avoid trying to do running.
Yes.
I've got, because I do a lot of work at the gym. I've got into doing a lot of running now on the treadmill. My interval work, I do. I do I tend to do my interval work on the treadmill, and I only started doing that maybe about a year and a half ago, and it was a real struggle. Just trying to run on the treadmill, doing a steady run, was a real struggle. Um, but I've actually got almost to liking it now, and I certainly like doing intervals on the treadmill now, and I can push myself quite hard, but it doesn't make up for long, steady runs. And I do need, I keep saying it, but I do need to do more running,
Yeah.
because
Do
I
you,
do appreciate that Hyrox is largely dependent on your running.
yes.
I
Do
think,
you,
thankfully,
do you
because of
use a
my
bike?
background, because of my background, I've got a fairly good aerobic base.
Yes.
But I plod along in what my PT says is my comfortable pace,
Yeah.
without really pushing myself. But my run times, tend to be fairly static.
Yeah.
Um, I haven't
Consistent.
improved that. You know, there's a lot of, I think I still feel there's a lot of work I could do there to improve myself, and that's a constant battle for me, is to try and do more running.
Yes. Do you supplement, or have you supplemented with biking at all?
I have a bike an erg bike at home, and yes, I mean, I will do 30 minutes or an hour, or I'll we talking kilometers over here. So I do sometimes I'll do an hour on the bike, which is maybe like 26 kilometers. I'll sometimes go up to 40 kilometers on the bike. So you're maybe talking about an hour, an hour and a half
Yeah.
on the bike there, going a fairly good pace. I work quite hard, although it never works the bike doesn't work my heart as hard as doing a run. But I do sometimes put quite a bit of mileage on the bike,
Yeah.
which I quite enjoy, actually. I don't.
Yeah.
Uh, I think years ago, when I first got the bike erg, which was back about 2018, I think I once did 100k, but my backside has not recovered from nearly 4 hours of cycling, which is what it took.
Yes. Yes.
Uh, but
Yes.
yeah, I once did 100k, but I've done 40k, a few times,
Yes.
and I actually quite enjoy it. You just put the headphones on, and just listen to music and just plod away.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah,
It's
I think it is
interesting.
good.
A lot of Hyrox racers are supplementing now with the bike
Yeah.
to their running and to good success too.
Well, I see a lot. There's a lot of guys, promote it now on for their, your zone 2 workouts, and
Yeah. Yeah.
as a runner, I've never quite worked out what a zone 2 run is, because I don't know that I could run. I don't know that I can run zone 2. It seems I've never worked out how to run so slowly that my heart doesn't go up. I mean, I think I'm usually zone 3 and zone 4 almost
Yes.
every.
Yes. Yes. Zone two is yeah, it's a tough one to stay right in zone two.
I don't know how people do it. I mean, see, everyone talks about it, but I don't know how to do it.
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
It's,
All right. So going into a Hyrox race, have you ever been sick or injured just prior to a race?
no, I haven't. No,
Oh,
the only I've I've never had. No, I've never had any. Oh, well, I missed. Now, was I going to? Let me think now. I missed a Hyrox. That's a lie. Actually, I actually, going back 2 years ago, I missed. I missed Glasgow, which I was going to do in 2023. I think it was. Was it 2023? I was going to do Glasgow, and long after COVID was over, I got COVID, and
yes.
the week before Glasgow, and so I couldn't do it.
Yep.
So that's the only one I've missed through any sort of illness.
Yes.
It struck me down the week before. The week before, couldn't do it. Just can't. Just and I just I wasn't one of these people that would bother trying to get someone to buy my ticket off me. I just put it down to experience, and like the money's spent, so I just have to stay at home and lick my wounds.
Yes.
But
Yes.
that's the only one I've missed through illness.
Yep.
I did a Hyrox in Birmingham. I started it Nov- November, October 22, which would have been my second Hyrox, although it would have been my first in my new age group, 65 to 69. And I turned up. I got to the sled push, and my heart wasn't in it. I dropped out after the sled push. It was I had I'd been diagnosed with prostate cancer back in about 2016 and 2017, I think it was, and I was being monitored, and but in 2022, the it deteriorated to the point that I actually needed to do something about it. So
Yeah.
I was scheduled to, I should have had a prostatectomy in that summer. And I actually asked the surgeon, says, can I postpone it until after I've done my Hyrox? And they said, yeah, that's fine. And so I got a new date for my operation. But unfortunately, it was about 2 weeks after this Hyrox was scheduled. And I was so anxious on the day.
Yeah.
Just it was really starting to get home and become real for me, and I just was so anxious at the start of the event that my heart wasn't in it, and I just couldn't face push myself through it that day, and I just dropped out after the sled, because my wife was looking for me and wondered what the hell had happened to me, because I didn't appear on the running track again.
Yes.
And so 2 weeks after that, I had my operation, and that was me out for. I wasn't able to go to the gym for about 6 weeks, but within 6 months of my operation, I was back doing a full Hyrox in Malaga, and that was it. And I've never looked back after that. But
Y-
yeah,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was within 6 months of the op. I was back fully fit. I mean, I probably had my fitness back within. Let me think. So October. By the end of January, beginning of February, the operation was the last week of October in 22, and I was back to full fitness probably beginning of February,
Oh,
because
that's
I just jumped straight back into it and was back doing. I think I was doing back within 3 months. I was back training 6 days a week,
yep.
uh,
That's incredible.
and it's history now. But
Yeah. Okay.
it's
So go ahead, tell me, what is your why? Why do you do Hyrox? Why do you enjoy it or not enjoy it?
I'd like to. I just like to see what I can do to push myself. I feel, despite how well I do, I still feel I'm under. I continually feel I'm underachieving, and I continually feel that I can do better than I'm doing, and that there's. I think my best is 131. I still feel there's a 130 in me.
Yes.
If I can just get my training right, and everything comes together on the day, I still feel there's a 130 there. I may be dreaming there, but that's so. I I would just like to continue to be able. I like to be able to compete. I
Yes.
like. I was never in my running days when I ran. I could never follow the pack. I always like to be at the front of a pack and pushing it to see how hard I can go. Uh, and I am I, I have my moments. I have meltdown occasionally in training and stuff like that where my heart's not in it. But I am actually quite competitive, and I like to push myself. I do.
Yes.
I'm always in the gym. I'm always looking to see that I can lift heavier, lift more reps, do more sets. Always trying to just push myself a wee bit harder.
Yes.
Uh, and that happens to Hyrox as well. You know, I keep looking at where I'm not doing well and thinking, you know, if I could just shave a few seconds off here, a few seconds off there, you know, one day it will come together.
Yes, yes,
um,
yes.
my last
Okay.
few Hyroxes have not been very good. My times this season, I think, because I qualified early in the season, it's subconsciously I've taken my foot off the gas a wee bit in some of my events, and I'm sort of just almost going through the motions.
Yeah.
Um, but once I'm competing next week in Glasgow, um, and I'm doing a mixed doubles for the first time, which I'm really looking forward to doing.
Who's your mixed doubles
Uh,
partner?
a lady from Glasgow called Linda Watson.
Okay.
Young, she's a young girl, age 62. Bless her heart. But it puts us. I just reached out to her. You know, I thought, you know, I'd quite like to do a mixed doubles, but I thought who I didn't really know anyone. But I'd bumped into Linda, you know, at a Hyrox, I think in Glasgow a couple of years ago, and we're in the same Facebook group, and so I just sent an email to her one day. It was when I came back from Chicago, and during the summer, and I thought I'd quite like to do a doubles, and I just sent her an email one day and said, you know, because I noticed that she'd done quite well in ladies doubles, and our solo times were quite good. She'd done a couple of solos as well that were really good times. And I just sent her an email one day and said, did any chance you fancied doing a mixed doubles? And I asked her, I dared to ask how old she was just to find out, and she was. As I say, it meant that the two of us together, we could go into the 65, 69 age group, which it's probably the least well attended
Yeah.
age group event in Hyrox. I mean, there aren't that many people
Yeah.
do it in that age group, and so
Yes.
we're going to tackle Glasgow next Wednesday night. Going to give it a bash. We met up a couple of weeks ago to just, in fact, last week it was, we met up just to sort of meet and have a wee chat through tactics and, you know, shove a few weights around just to see what it was like and how we could get on, you know, doing transferring the sandbag and stuff like that. And we got on really well. And I think we're both looking forward to it. So,
Oh, good.
I'm hoping that might, you know, we're hoping, you know, that we might do quite well.
Yeah. Oh, I'll be watching for your times there in Glasgow.
Well, it will be interesting, you know. I mean, just to see what we can do. I don't know, but
Yeah.
I'll just see how it goes in the day.
Well, best of luck to you two in Glasgow
yeah,
next week.
thank you. Looking forward to it.
Yeah. Okay, next question. If you could eliminate one Hyrox station, what would it be?
Well, like most people, I'd probably have to say wall balls.
Yeah,
But,
most people want to eliminate the wall balls.
wall balls are my absolute nemesis.
Yeah.
But again, it's something I'm determined to crack. I don't because of the injuries I've had. I don't practice it at the moment. But it is by far my worst station, and embarrassingly so. Embarrassingly so. I've done 14 solos. I've only had one race where I've done under 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Is that not?
Yeah.
That is just appalling. I've had two really embarrassing times. 21 minutes. 21. I've twice taken 21 minutes for wall balls. How awful is that?
Well, work on your jump squats, your body weight squats, jump squats, right? Get yourself worked up, body weight squats, get into doing 100 body weight squats. Huh?
I do all of that.
Yeah.
I'm just done in by the time I get to the wall balls.
Yeah, you're destroyed.
I'm destroyed, and you know, much to my PT's annoyance, you know, I spend too much time staring at the floor.
Yeah.
And what you think is a 5 or 10 second break is a 30-second break, and
Yeah.
But it's just awful. But I know I can do it. When I did the secret, I when I did the doubles last year in Chicago with Kenton, we blitzed the wall balls between us, and
Yeah.
I actually did slightly more than Kenton did, and we were under 6 minutes.
Yeah.
Still not hugely fast, but compared to double figures, it was I thought this is a breeze, because I even started off and I did the first 20. I rattled off 20
Yeah.
without thinking about it. I thought this is a breeze.
Yeah. Yeah.
But so I have, if I can get the wall balls sorted out, I've got a good time in me for that's it's the wall balls that are probably preventing me being sub 130 at the moment, to be honest.
Yes.
But
Yes.
but my original answer to your question, because I wasn't going to give the obvious one, which was wall balls. I hate the ski erg.
Not many people would say they hate the ski erg.
I hate the ski. I hate training the ski erg.
Yeah.
It's trying to do 1 kilometers or 2 kilometers on a ski. Just I detest it.
Yeah.
I'm fine. I'm fine on short bursts. Barry's had me doing some uh, short intervals on ski erg recently, and I've loved it because it's like 30 seconds at a time, just going hell for leather for 30 seconds, then a rest, and then back into it again. I can cope with short bursts, but trying to do a kilometer on the ski erg, I just
Yeah.
hate it.
Just
Hate it.
just not your ball of fun.
It's a mental thing.
Yes.
Because I've got the fitness for it, but I'm again, I've not got the weight. I think this is one of the problems with being a lightweight.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Yeah. Yeah, I have the
Um,
same. I'm not a big upper body guy, so
mhm,
my times are, I'm not going to win a race on the ski or the row for
yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
see, I'm quite good. I'm quite good at. I like the row.
Yeah.
I, I'm quite. The row doesn't cause me any. I'm not fast on it, but I'm quite comfortable doing it. It
Yeah.
doesn't, I don't mind it, and I can pull away quite the thing.
Yeah.
Um,
It's probably because your leg endurance from the years
yeah,
of running and obviously strength training. So,
yeah,
that definitely plays a big part in the rower.
hmm yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Okay,
That's
so if you could take any one station and replace it with a different exercise or a different modality, what station would you take out and what would you replace it with?
what would I take out? Hmm. Burpee broad jumps, probably.
Take the burpees out. So you'll leave the
Yeah.
ski and leave the wall ball and take the burpees out.
Yes, I'm determined to crack the wall balls.
Yes.
It's
Okay.
not I'm not going to give up on Hyrox
Yes.
because of the wall balls. So
Yes.
I'm going to crack those wall balls one day, and you'll know I've done it because you'll hear my PT falling to the floor. There'll be this almighty crash
Yeah.
when he sees me doing a good wall ball time.
Yes.
But I would put the erg bike in.
Yeah. A lot of people say the air bike.
Not the air bike, not the assault bike,
Yeah. Oh, so
but
what would you put in?
the erg bike.
Oh, the
So
erg. Yeah.
yeah. So I don't know what sort of distance you would need to put in to get a decent, maybe I don't know, 5K. I don't know. But, well, what would it be? 2 minutes, maybe 4K, something like that
Yeah,
on the
that's I think a 4K or 3K something on the
yeah
bike would be good.
4K on the erg bike. I'd quite like.
Yeah.
Um,
1K would be too
uh,
short, I think. But now
yes, yeah.
1K if it was an assault bike, I would say
Oh,
that would be a good doable distance on the assault bike, but on the like something like the air bike or the Concept 2 bike, something like a 4K I think would be good.
the assault bike. I see. I know the assault bike. I do the assault bike in Deca. Hate it. I'm like, if you saw a video of me on the assault bike in a Deca, you'd think it was a photograph.
Yeah.
I barely move. I barely move. It's like,
Yes. Yes. Uh,
dreadful.
yes.
I watch. Oh dear. the, I forgot the chap from Underground Fitness and Underdog Fitness in Canada that does the erg bike, does the assault bike. I just, when you see him do 25 calories in 15 seconds, and unbelievable.
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
so no, I wouldn't choose the assault bike, but the erg bike would be good.
Yes, yes. Okay, moving on to the next. What is your pre-race nutrition like? If you're gonna race that day, what is your pre-race nutrition like?
I do nothing fancy with my dad. I'm usually staying in a hotel,
Yeah,
so it'll be muesli, granola, a croissant. Just I take before my race. I'll maybe have in Britain you get, I've got them here actually, get something called a caffeine bullet,
yeah,
which is it's just like a sort of toffee chew, but it's with a bit of caffeine in it. I'll maybe have one or two of those, shortly before the race. Maybe have a granola bar, something like that. But I'm not a I'm I don't calorie count.
yes,
I don't do macros. I struggle to eat actually. That's one of my some of my Hyrox times would probably be better if I actually could actually eat. I don't. Me and food don't get on, unfortunately, and I struggle.
yeah,
Um, I actually struggle to think of things to eat, and I think my wife worries about me at times because if she's out the house and I'm at home on my own, I forget to eat.
yeah. Well, you know what? I've reached the same point too. When I first started to really train hard for Hyrox, like 2.5 to yeah, two. We'll just say 2.5 years ago is when I really 3.5 years ago is when I started to train. 2.5 is when I really took it serious because I figured out I was good at it.
Hmm.
When I was famished throughout the day. When I first started to seriously train, I could not get enough food to feel filled or feel satiated or
Hmm. Hmm.
satisfied. Now I'm to your point where I force feed myself in the morning before I go eat, even though I'm not hungry. I'll still
Hmm.
eat a little bit just to get some carbs in me, get some protein in me, a little bit of, I'll eat an orange. And then I come home and I eat again, but I'm not famished. And then by
Hmm.
the time dinner time comes rolling around, I'm sometimes I'm not even hungry, but I make myself eat now.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
funny how you go through these cycles or whatever.
I never even in my running days, I never used to eat a lot. And what I'm very bad for, and much to my PT's annoyance, and he always, I'm not a natural drinker of water,
Yeah.
and I do whenever I go to the gym. I've got my water with electrolytes in it, and I do drink it, but not in the quantity that I should.
Yes.
Um, and I think recently I've seen my weight coming down,
Yeah.
and a lot of that is possibly because I'm probably dehydrated
Yeah.
most of the time. I know I don't, but it's not natural for me to drink to drink water. And as much as I find it better when I've got electrolytes in it, it's tastier and I can drink it. But I'm not someone that can glug 2, 3 liters of fluid a day.
Day.
Um, I drink coffee and tea, so I'm getting, and I tend to start my day off with porridge, and at night time ever since I've been a wee boy, I usually have cereal for supper, and so that might be granola or something like that. So I'm getting a bit of milk, at that time. But drinking fluids is something that seems almost alien to me. And
Yes.
probably do me no good. I probably should drink. Everyone says you need to ensure you're hydrated, and
Yeah.
so again, I'm probably doing myself a disservice, by not drinking as much as I should.
Yes. Yes.
But
Yep.
I don't know. I can't seem to. It's like I almost forget,
Yeah.
that's what I should be doing.
Yep.
Um, it's a strange one, but but I'm not. I see all these people calorie counting and so on, and counting their macros, and I thought, I can't. If it means I'm not as good as I could be because of that, well, so be it.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't count my macros or anything. I eat. Okay. Um, let's see. Sled push or pull. Which one?
I don't mind either of them. Um, the sled push, I'm not good at either of them.
Yes.
Um, Although when I analyze my performances of each event, the pool comes out. Even though my times are relatively slow, they, in comparison to other people doing the races, my pool comes out not too bad. Um, Push, I, I don't mind the push. Actually, in training, I've got to really like doing the push, and I can push a fair amount in training. Um, it doesn't seem to always work in competition.
Yes.
I've had one really good push that I was happy with in Warsaw. Funnily enough, last year I did a really good push time, but I was one of the ones in Chicago that came unstuck
Oh
with the sled
no.
push. And I went to go, huh. I thought, oh, that's not going anywhere.
Ha.
And for a long time, it didn't go anywhere. And I must have on that first leg of the push in Chicago, I must have stopped about 7 times to get to that end of that
Oh.
that first leg. So I ended up taking, like, where normally I'll be, I don't know. I think my best is just under 3 minutes,
Yeah.
but usually I'm maybe, I don't know, maybe four minutes, something like that.
Yep.
Chicago, I took over 9.
Yeah.
Couldn't just couldn't just couldn't get it to move.
Yep. Yep.
And uh, but it was there was something actually almost quite satisfying about that, because as soon as I did that, as soon as I went to go and it didn't move, I thought, oh, I can relax now because that's the end of my race.
Oh. Yeah, those
And it took,
sleds.
it, it took all the it took all the pressure off, because I thought, well, I'm not going to break any PVs today. And it was
Yes.
like, and relax.
Yeah. Yeah, those sleds were that wasn't a good look for Hyrox, those sleds in Chicago. That
Oh
was
no,
not good
no,
at all.
no. And but the next day, well, 2 days later, when I did the doubles, it was fine.
It was fine.
Absolutely, absolutely fine. Got a
Yeah.
good lane. No
Yep.
problem at all. My partner and I breezed through it. Um, but no, that day in the singles, it was just wasn't going anywhere.
Yes. Yeah, so far, knock on wood, I have never been dealt a bad lane, whether push or pull at Hyrox,
Right.
but I've definitely seen the bad push and pull lanes and how they
Oh
affect
yeah,
racers. Yes.
yeah. Oh, I mean,
Yep.
saw those videos after Chicago of what was. I mean,
Yes.
and 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 I've once or twice. I mean, I was in Bilbao in Spain just about 3 weeks ago, and I had no problem with the sled that day. It was a bit stiff, but there were people again in that event complaining and you could see the photos. I saw videos. You could see the carpet rippling
Yeah.
as people were pushing, and I thought, well, I was okay on the day. I mean, I found it quite heavy, but it wasn't because of the car. It wasn't because the carpet was rippling up. It was just tough. But I think one or two people were affected by then. So I don't know what Hyrox are going to be able to do to resolve that long term.
Yes. Yes.
But it doesn't. You know, People get so het up about it.
Yes.
I
Yes.
I I just accept. Well, you can't Hyrox can't seem to get they can't get everything right. They do their best, and I mean, the organization of these events is incredible.
Yes.
And I think, some people are so scathing of Hyrox,
Yeah.
but the events they put on are incredible.
Yes.
You know,
I agree.
the organization, when you see these halls laid out before an event, it's absolutely unbelievable how
Yeah.
well organized it is. The amount of work that it must take to organize that
Oh yeah.
consistently throughout the world, no matter which country you go to, you've got the most fantastically well organized layout and organization.
Yes. Yes.
And yeah, trying how they manage to be so consistent,
Yeah.
is beyond me. I mean, it takes an incredible organization.
Yes.
And yeah, I get what people are saying about the sleds and the carpet, but you know, it's only one small part of and for the majority of people, it doesn't make a jot of a difference. I mean,
Yes.
you know, I'd be annoyed if I was at the sharp end,
Yes.
and it was causing the difference between a podium or not, and particularly for the elite guys, if that was impacting on
Hmm.
their performance and their now their income, which some of them are now making. But for the majority of people, it doesn't make just put it down to experience.
Yes.
It's just that it's a bad course. It's like if you do a marathon or a half marathon, you get a hilly course, you get a hard course. That's just what it is. That's just the way it is.
Yeah, it's
Some
just the way it
courses,
is.
some courses are faster than others.
Yeah.
You can't you can't have every course the same.
Yes.
It's physically impossible.
Yep.
You know,
Yep.
and rough carpets are just
Part of the game.
one of the downsides. Yes, you
Yeah.
just have to accept it. Do another. If you're not happy with your time because the carpets weren't good, do another.
Go
Do
do
another
another.
again.
Yes.
And by the law of averages, you'll get a good. You'll get better times, and if you stick at it.
Yes. Well, I got another question for you. What advice would you give? You're getting ready to race Hyrox next week in Warsaw or wherever you're going next week, and somebody brand new guy, let's say 50 years old, 45 years old, standing next to you, and it's his very first Hyrox race. What advice you giving them?
Enjoy it as best you can. Your first ever Hyrox will be the hardest one you'll ever do.
Yes.
I mean, when I did that, the fact that I came back and did however many more, but during and after that first Hyrox, I thought I'm not going to be able to do that ever again. That was the hardest thing I've ever done. I was doing that first Hyrox was far harder than anything I'd ever done. Running training for marathons and stuff like that. I mean, I was blowing out my backside. Stop. After the sled push and the sled pull, I was, but it took so long for me to get my heart back into my chest. And what my PT said after, well, don't stop. I said, well, I had no choice but to stop.
Yeah. Yeah.
I couldn't, after doing the first sled push and the first sled pull, it was all I could do, not to collapse to the ground. And I stopped. I literally had to let my heart get back in my chest before I could move.
Yeah.
But my lesson, as my PT drummed into me was, whatever you do next time, just don't stop. And that's the secret. And now I don't stop.
Yeah.
The one thing, one of my best functions in Hyrox is the rock zone.
Yes.
I now never stop.
Yes.
I don't drink. I can't do what I used to do when I first did Hyrox, first couple of, well, not the first event, but second and third events. I committed the cardinal sin of just pouring water over my head to
Over your
cool me
head.
down. Now you can't do that. You get
Yes.
banned. But because I can't drink on the run. I could never drink on the run when I used to do marathons.
I'm the same way. I can't. I just for some reason I have a very hard time getting, like, if I stop and get water, even if I stop and get it, I can't get it to like go down the pipe.
No, you choke. I sort of find myself choking on it. So basically, I ended up taking one wee sip, which was hardly worth stopping for, and just throwing the rest away. So, as I say, for a couple of races, I was able to pour it over my head. Can't do that now. But actually, I'd already decided that, doing that was just taking too much time. So I now just don't stop in the rock zone. I just keep going, and I never drink. I don't take any fluid during the event at all. And my mouth is dry as a desert.
Yes. Yes.
But it doesn't bother me.
Yes.
I don't feel the. It just never crosses my mind to go for water now.
Yes.
I just carry on, and the mantra. That was one of your, if there was a question about what's my mantra.
Yeah. What goes through your head when you're racing?
Don't stop. That's
Yes.
like, in the rock zone, I just don't stop. I keep moving, albeit slowly, but it's produced. When I analyze my races and I look at my times compared to my peers and people similar to my rock zone time is less than most people's. I save time. Guys in my age group will maybe be taking 6, 7, 8, 9 minutes in the rock zone, whereas I'll do it in under six. I had a
Yes.
slow one recently, and I was actually over 6 minutes. That was slow. I'm usually under 6 minutes for the rock zone,
Yeah.
which so I'm saving 2 or 3 minutes on that in comparison to some people, but just simply because I don't stop. I just,
Yes.
albeit slowly, just keep going, uh, and that seems to work.
Yep.
Uh, and that's that. So I'm saving a wee bit of time there, but that's my mantra. Don't stop. You just,
So
however bad you're feeling, just keep moving.
just keep
Just
moving.
keep just keep moving.
Is there
Uh,
a point in the race, whether it's maybe after the sled pull or after burpees or after the row, where you finally see the light at the end of the tunnel and you're like, okay, the rest of the race, I got this. Is there ever a point in the race where you feel it's downhill?
oh yes, yes. Once I get past the probably once I get past the row, I'm on the I, I'm on the homeward journey at that point.
Yeah. Yeah.
Albeit that it gets harder for me,
Yeah.
because I then, well, the farmer's carries, is obviously good. So once I suppose in all honesty, once you get the farmer's carry out the way, you're getting close to home. But I know you've got for me, two hard events where I'm just slow.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
actually I look at people and I see their times for the lunges and for the burpee broad jumps, and I think even when I'm trying to go fast, this whole body just doesn't move.
Yeah.
I'm,
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
thinking, I'm trying to think, how can I actually how can I get myself to actually move faster? I just don't seem to be able to do it. I think my fast twitch my fibers died years ago.
Yes. 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 I
But I
think,
can't. I see the times that some people do, and I think, how can they move that quickly?
yeah.
The mechanics of an old body, just the messages from the brain just go too slow.
Yes. Yes.
And it's yeah, that's basically it. So I have two very hard, like, I know. I always know that when I'm past the farmer's carry, then I'm going to finish.
Yes.
Um, but it is quite a slow rate.
Yep.
Um, and I do sometimes. I found myself wobbling a bit on the. That there was one. I can't remember when it was. There were a couple of races ago. There was one time I was finding the sandbag lunges particularly hard, and I thought I was getting a wee bit lightheaded, and I almost thought I'm going to have to lean against the barrier. And I thought, well, if I do that, I'll never get started again. So you just have to keep going. But I can be a bit shaky on the lunges, just fatigue basically.
Yes. Yes.
Uh, and the burpee broad jumps are just slow. I
Yes.
can't, I
Slow and steady.
you try to move quickly, but you can't. I
Yes.
can't. I can't anyway. It's just
Yes.
it's just slow.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it is, you have to pace yourself. I coach a class on Saturday mornings, and it's, it's a run class. It's compromised running. And
Right.
it's typically an hour to an hour and 30-minute class. And I always tell the people this session, you're going to learn to pace yourself, because if you
Hmm.
go too hard, you're going to blow yourself up at the next station, or you're not going to be
Yeah.
able to run the next time you got to go run. So yeah, it's, just like to your point with the lunges, you do what you pace yourself, right? So that
Hmm.
you can get through it at a good
Yeah.
time. Yeah. All right, one last question. After you podium, there's two questions. Does your wife go to all the races with you?
Not all the races, most of them. Recently, I'm trying to think, what have I done. Rosemary was with me. She was last with me in Gdansk. Well, when I went to Gdansk in October, Rosemary was with me. But yeah, ordinarily, Rosemary and I will go to the Hyrox events together. But I've done a couple this season where I've just gone off for cheap for a few days. Just
Yeah.
we went. I went to Poznan before Christmas, and it was too close. It was too close to Christmas for Rosemary to go, because she tends to. We've got young grandchildren, and there's a lot of going on before Christmas, so she didn't feel that 2 weeks before Christmas she didn't feel that she could get away from her sort of family duties.
Yes.
So I went to Poznan and just for a couple of days, and similarly, I went to Bilbao just about 3 weeks ago, and that was literally I was there for 2 nights, and it was just flight in, flight out sort of thing. But Rosemary didn't go to that one, but she'll be going through to Glasgow with me next week to watch that. But Glasgow's only about 45, 50 miles from Edinburgh.
Yes.
So we'll travel there in the afternoon and come back that evening. But Rosemary will drive me through. And then we have a few days. We're going away for a wee holiday to Malaga for 5 days in April, and so Rosemary will be with me for that. We've got it. We travel on the Wednesday, and the race is on the Thursday, so we'll get that out of the way, and then we can enjoy ourselves for the next 4 days, actually having a nice wee break in the sun.
Yes.
Because Malaga is a very nice place to go, and it's become a sort of tradition for us now, because this will be the fourth event in Malaga,
Oh,
and
good.
I'll have done all four. So, but Malaga is a nice place to go.
Yes.
So, and in April, it should be quite warm. So it'll be
Yes.
a nice few days away. But then that'll be me until Stockholm, and Rosemary will be going with me to Stockholm. She's my bag lady. She covers bag lady and photographer. Carry my rucksack and take photographs and
Yes.
shout and scream at me.
Right, right, right. Your cheerleader on the sideline.
Yes, yes.
So, one last question, Phil. After you've done the podium, how do you celebrate your podiums at all? Do you have anything special you do afterwards, or?
A nice beer.
Yeah.
I don't. Having said that, I've never drunk much, but and in fact, I am trying to think now. I've actually gone without alcohol now. I haven't had a drink since October.
Yes.
Um, and I used to, whilst as much as I used to enjoy a glass of wine at home, red wine or a
Yeah.
white wine, but I always found that it would always interfere with my training. And
Yeah.
if I had, it used to be the case that if we had a bottle of wine, Rosemary would have one large glass and I would have the rest. And whilst I would enjoy it,
Yes.
training the next day was never felt very good. And so actually over the last few months I haven't been drinking at all, and I don't miss it at all.
Yes.
And if I go for a beer now, if we go out for a meal and I have a drink, I tend to have zero alcohol beer.
Yeah.
And so it might even my celebratory drink after my next Hyrox probably might well be a zero alcohol beer.
Yeah.
Because as I say, Rosemary doesn't drink now either. So, and I think neither of us really miss it.
Yeah. It's funny how so many people I talk to, and it seems to be, related to Hyrox and Hyrox racing. I gave up drinking alcohol too. I used to be a one a beer night guy.
Mhm.
And then about 2.5 years ago, when I really got serious and wanting to make, do the best that I could possibly do and be ready to train, I quit alcohol too. And now I drink no alcohol, the zero alcohol beer.
Well, I can tell you one funny story, and it's not Hyrox related. It's running related, but it was it was actually before I did my first Hyrox. I was scheduled to do a half marathon in London,
Yes.
and I hadn't really been doing much running at all. I think over the course of the previous X number of weeks, I was averaging about 10, 15 miles a week.
Yeah.
The longest run I'd done was about an 8 kilometer run. And so I went to London, nowhere near as fit as I should have been, and quite relaxed about the whole thing. And I was so laid back about it. My wife and I went out for a meal the night before the race. I had a big steak. I had two-thirds of a bottle of wine, red wine. My wife had a glass, and I went out the next day not feeling the greatest, and basically ran my socks off with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I did, for me, and I'm trying to think how old I'd have been at the time. I was 64 at the time, and I mean, I was probably hoping to get under 2 hours, and I did a 1:46 uh, with two-thirds of a bottle of wine in me from the night before,
Yeah.
and I thought, God, how did I manage that? My
Yes.
friends, when I came back and they saw what time I'd done, they couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
I had a pair of carbons on, so that maybe helped. That
Yes.
was,
Yes. Oh, that's
but
funny.
yeah, but you know, everything I did was wrong, and I ran this for me at the time was a really good and unexpected time, far faster than I'd expected. Had I been properly trained and not under the affluence of alcohol.
Yes. 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 Well, Phil, very good talking to you today. You've got your race coming up here, right? Your first mixed doubles race.
Yes, next Wednesday. Yeah.
And is that all you're going to race? Just mixed doubles that weekend?
Well, funnily enough, up until today, I was actually scheduled to do a relay on the Friday, but
Okay.
that's all now fallen apart because one of the people who was supposed to, I was brought into it as a late replacement for someone who couldn't attend, and I was supposed to be doing it with it was going to be a mixed relay, but unfortunately the other gentleman who I don't know, but he's in the military, and because of what's happening in the Middle East just now, he's now I think on standby, so
Oh,
he's not able to attend. And we tried a lady who was going to be doing it with me from Glasgow, Shirley Dale. She was desperately trying to get people to stand in at the last minute,
yeah.
but it all fell apart today. So they've now cancelled and got the refunds. So
Ah,
that was going to be next Friday night, but that won't be happening now. So it's just the mixed doubles now. So which I'm really looking forward to. So
yes, yes. Well, I'll be watching from Phoenix, Arizona, and I'll be watching for your time. I'm interested to see how you guys do and see you guys podium.
well, we're certainly hoping that will happen. And as I say, if you look at the Hyrox results for mixed doubles in the 65-69, there's not that many.
Yeah, there's not that many.
No, so we're without wishing to get ahead of ourselves, we're quite hopeful of doing quite well. So
Yes.
but I'm not going to, we'll see what happens on the day. But I'm really looking forward to it. It should be good fun. I think that's the emphasis on fun,
Yes.
because I certainly the doubles that I've done so far, the one with the men's doubles, I just really enjoyed it.
Yes.
It was so different from doing solo.
Yes.
It was like, I think if you all these people that have only, people that have only ever done doubles, I thought, well, if you've only done doubles, you've not really done Hyrox.
Yes.
I think you need to experience the pain of a solo to actually understand what Hyrox is really all about. And doubles is just a different. It's still Hyrox, obviously. It's still
Yes.
Hyrox, but it's a completely different event.
It
Completely
is.
different event.
It is. Yes, I agree.
But both equally enjoyable in their own way. As I
Yeah.
say, there's a masochistic side to solo, I think.
Yeah, I always compare, I tell people running a solo race is like playing full court basketball. And then running a doubles race is more comparable to playing a really, really fast half court 3-on-3 game. It's got the same kind of feel to it. Like when you play full court basketball, every player kind of takes that moment to to bring themselves back to center as you're transitioning down court, right? You kind of
Right.
jog back down court, you get ready to play again, right?
Can I
In
say I'm not familiar with basketball, and
oh,
so, no, it's it's a I mean, there are people who play basketball in Britain, obviously, but it's not a huge sport in the way that it is in America. So
Yes.
basketball sort of goes over my head a wee bit, and
Yes.
so
Yes.
I hear what you're saying, but it's actually not meaning anything to me.
Yeah. It's interesting. I think in doubles, when you race with a really, really good partner, whether it's a female partner or a male partner, somebody is always pushing the gas, right?
Yes,
And you
yes.
never have that real moment like in solo, you'll fall back a little bit and kind of regroup yourself, right? But in
Mhm.
doubles, you may not have that opportunity because your partner's pushing the gas pedal.
Well, I'm because I'm doing mixed doubles and I'm obviously the male. I'm there's a huge responsibility I feel on my shoulders, but
Yeah.
I know I'm asking the ladies. I'm asking Linda to to obviously she's the one that's probably going to be pushing harder on the runs, trying to trying to go as fast as she can.
Yes.
Uh, but I'll be hanging on to her coattail hopefully, and
Y-
she can drag me around.
yes. Yes. So. All right, Phil. Well, very good talking to you today. I really enjoyed it. You were fun to interview and fun to talk to.
Good. Well, I'm pleased to hear that. Hopefully you'll get something out of this.
Yeah.